It's nearly Halloween, and we just can't get enough spooky and creepy in our lives. We found some terrifying reimaginings of Disney princesses as evil from artist Jeffrey Thomas. Stay tuned to see the scary dark side of your favorite princesses. Hey Disney fans, if you love anything and everything to do with Disney, be sure to subscribe. Now let's check out these chilling drawings of dark Disney princesses. Snow White. Cartoon artist and character designer Jeffrey Thomas took Disney to a whole new, terrifying level with his creepy series. Take a look at Snow White and her 7 dwarves. You remember Snow White, the original Disney princess? She's the fairest of the land and is so sweet that forest animals help her clean. She's dainty in her blue and yellow dress, and she just looks like she could never do anything evil. Right? Wrong. This Snow White is anything but kind. Her ivory skin is a chilling white. And those eyes, they're just black pits of doom. Scary! She seems to have enslaved the 7 dwarves, who all look kind of rabid. We bet this Snow White would never let herself get poisoned by the evil queen. Ariel. The Little Mermaid definitely romanticized mermaids. In most folklore, mermaids are not happy princesses who want to be human. Instead, they lure sailors into their dooms in a watery grave. But when we think of mermaids, we think of naive, sweet Ariel. She's the lovely daughter of King Triton. In order to become human and meet Prince Eric, she visits the sea witch Ursula. Ursula gives Ariel legs in exchange for her voice. But in Jeffrey Thomas's artistic version, Ariel is the real monster. She's got glowing yellow eyes and a vicious smile. She honestly looks a little like a zombie with that skin. And Ariel's beloved Dinglehopper has replaced one of her arms. She and Creepy Flounder look much more like the monsters that sailors of the past would talk about. She is creepy AF. Jasmine. Aladdin's love interest, Jasmine, is one of the most underrated Disney princesses ever. You have to be pretty fierce to have a pet tiger, right? The original Jasmine is a beautiful princess who is dazzled by things like magic carpet rides, but this version of Jasmine looks like she's been hanging out with Jafar a little too long. Actually, she looks like she could totally beat Jafar. Her normally gorgeous blue outfit has been frayed. She's covered in scars from her tiger, but that just makes her seem even tougher. She's got a sorceress vibe going on, and Raja is not exactly a house pet anymore. We are digging those creepy skull earrings though. Something tells us Aladdin might have to run the opposite direction if he met this Jasmine. Belle. It's no wonder that her name means beauty according to the villagers in Beauty and the Beast. The Belle we know and love is lovely and brilliant and a total bookworm. She changes the heart of the Beast and lives happily ever after. We're a little confused about who the real Beast is in this drawing though. Dark Belle is in her yellow ball gown, but it's frayed. She's got pale skin and evil eyes. She looks less than alive, and honestly, we're a little terrified. The Beast is behind her with a noose around his neck. Did Dark Belle seek revenge on her captor instead of falling in love with him? That is not the tender beast we know from the movie. This is not a princess we would want to mess with, that's for sure. Pocahontas. Disney's Pocahontas is a classic, although it didn't exactly get the history right. John Smith and his men weren't exactly nice guys who just let the tribes they encountered live. But in the Disney version, Pocahontas and John Smith fall in love and stop their people from going to war.
My daughter speaks with the wisdom beyond her years.
She teaches John all about the beauty of nature and how to paint with all the colors of the wind. Not this Pocahontas. Jeffrey Thomas's version looks like she is ready for war, and we would not want to meet her on the battlefield. She is covered in blood and wears the skulls of her enemies. Miko looks like he missed his annual rabies shot, and we love the detail of a terrifying grandmother Willow in the background. This dark Pocahontas is ready to protect her people and their home at any cost. It's creepy, but it's also full of girl power. Cinderella. The Cinderella we all grew up with was a beautiful girl forced to live with her wicked stepmother and stepsisters. They forced her to wait on them like a servant, but she dreamed of a better life. Thanks to her fairy godmother, she went to the ball and fell in love with the prince. But this Cinderella looks like something straight out of a horror movie. She is dressed in her ball gown, but it looks like the pumpkin isn't the only thing that changed at midnight. Cinderella is some sort of scarecrow made of nightmares. She looks a little like she's ready ready to eat the evil mouse in her hands. The pumpkin goo that is dripping all over is a disgusting touch. At least it isn't blood. We have a feeling this Cinderella may make an appearance in our dreams tonight, and not in a good way. Aurora. We all know the story of Sleeping Beauty. A baby princess is born and she is cursed by the evil Maleficent. In an attempt to save her from falling into a cursed sleep, she is raised in the woods by 3 fairies. Aurora falls in love with the prince, but she pricks her finger at the castle and falls into a long sleep. She is awoken by true love's kiss, and they all live happily ever after. Well, this Aurora has taken a totally different turn. We can see the blood dripping from her pricked finger. There's a terrifying owl holding up her hand. And take a look at her face. Her eyes are stitched shut. That is so creepy. The black lips are an extra spooky touch. Was this Aurora raised by Maleficent or something? Blue Fairy. Okay, we know this next one isn't a princess, but she is still featured in Jeffrey Thomas's creepy series. And she is extra creepy, so she definitely deserves a mention. Do you remember the Blue Fairy from Pinocchio? She is the one who brings Pinocchio to life, and she is also the one who turns him into a real boy.
Yes, Pinocchio. I've given you life.
Well, in this version, she's more of an evil necromancer than a good fairy. She has turned Pinocchio into a monster. He's eating a heart. We hope that isn't Geppetto's heart. And take a look at the bottom right corner. Jiminy Cricket has been smashed. That's so sad. The other creepy puppets in the background make this picture extra scary. Blue Fairy's vicious grin gives us goosebumps. Vanellope von Schweetz. With Ralph Breaks the Internet releasing soon, everyone has Vanellope on their minds. In Wreck-It Ralph, Vanellope von Schweetz is the missing princess from the video game Sugar Rush. Due to a glitch, she doesn't know she's the princess. All she wants is to become a real racer in the game. She's sassy, but she's also just a good princess. Jeffrey Thomas turned Vanellope and Sugar Rush into something a lot darker. We bet this video game isn't rated E for everyone. Vanellope is armed and dangerous. She's riding in a really creepy vehicle, and Sugar Rush does not look like a kingdom we want to visit. This isn't your mother's Candyland. We would not want to cross this version of Vanellope. Alice. Okay, we know Alice isn't technically a princess, but she is a classic Disney character, and Jeffrey Thomas turned her into a nightmare. In the original movie, naive, ditzy Alice falls down a rabbit hole and ends up in the magical world of Wonderland. She meets crazy characters like the Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat. But forget Wonderland in this version. Alice looks like she's visited the underworld. She has the creepiest grin on her face. There's blood everywhere, and it's dripping from her neck, too. We can see the Mad Hatter's hat, but there is no sign of him. This Alice might have had something to do with that. The Cheshire Cat has always been creepy, but he just looks like pure evil in this drawing. This would make one amazing horror movie, don't you think? Esmeralda. The Hunchback of Notre Dame is arguably Disney's darkest film. It has some serious political overtones and messages about discrimination.
You mistreat this poor boy the same way you mistreat my people.
But it's not a horror film. Esmeralda is the rebellious Romani woman who seeks refuge in Notre Dame. She befriends Quasimodo. She is a strong woman who speaks out against injustice. But what if she was in a scary movie? Jeffrey Thomas drew Esmeralda as seriously deformed. Half her face is missing. Her dress is tattered and covered in what appears to be old blood. The ropes from the cathedral bells are wrapped around her. And what is up with that goat behind her? He looks all sorts of evil. We could totally get behind a scary Esmeralda seeking revenge. Merida. The Scottish princess definitely gets involved with some dark magic and brave, but with the help of her mother, Merida defeats the evil bear. We love Merida because she is so different from every other princess. She's the only princess to have no romantic storyline. She is also an amazing archer, and she is true to herself. In this dark version, Jeffrey Thomas draws her as something even more fierce. She has an evil glare on her face. We suspect she may be on the same side as the evil bear. Behind her, you can see her 3 brothers turned to bear cubs, but they have glowing red eyes. They are not the funny triplets we remember from the movie. There is also a tomb that belongs to Merida's father, King Fergus. Oh no. Was evil Merida responsible for that? Tiana. We absolutely adore the story of The Princess and the Frog. Tiana is a hard-working waitress who gets turned into a frog along with Prince Naveen. They have to fight an evil voodoo practitioner to turn back into humans. Tiana makes a super cute frog in the movie, but not in this version. Anything involving voodoo is typically pretty dark, so this illustration makes perfect sense. Tiana is in the swamp, and she is a terrifying frog-human hybrid. Seriously, that tongue is creeping us out. She's wearing Dr. Fasolier's top hat and has a shrunken skull on her belt. The not-quite-alive alligator appears to be eating the voodoo master. There are tarot cards flying, and one says revenge. It looks like Tiana gave Fasolier a taste of his own dark magic. This is one scary reimagining of The Princess and the Frog. Rapunzel. The Rapunzel we know from Tangled is an awesome character. She's a little naive after being locked in a tower her whole life, but she can also defend herself. After Flynn Rider breaks into her castle, she hits him with a frying pan and ties him up, but then she gets him to help her escape to see the floating lanterns. It's not normal to cut a deal with a thief who breaks into your home.
Fine, I'll take you to see the lanterns.
So what would happen if Rapunzel took defending herself to the next step? We think it would look something like this. A scared, tattered Rapunzel stands in her tower. Flynn's wanted posters are all over the ground, and it appears that Flynn has met his end in Rapunzel's hair. Did you notice how far apart his arms are? That had to be one gruesome attack. Yeah, we don't think we'll mess with this Rapunzel. After all, being locked in a tower totally isolated from everyone can really mess up a person's mind. Mulan. Let's get down to business with our last dark Disney princess. Mulan is the original fierce princess. She's disguised herself as a man so she could take her father's place in the war. Then she saved all of China from the Huns. She is a total hero, but Jeffrey Thomas took a whole new spin on Mulan. He turned her into some scary undead warrior, and it's so cool. This Mulan has taken several arrows, but it doesn't stop her. She is still fighting. And where are her eyes? That is so creepy. Rather than a friendly tiny dragon who thinks he's a comedian, Mushu is a giant terrifying monster. If we were the Huns and saw this Mulan, we would just run away. Which of these creepy Disney characters was your favorite? Let us know in the comments. That's it for the dark side of Disney princesses. If you want more awesome content, click subscribe and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up.